Hey guys, this is Rachel Harrington, one of your nutrition coaches again, and we're coming at you today talking about traffic light foods. So we use the picture or the model of traffic light foods because it's a great visual for one, but it is something that helps us to envision or visualize the different kinds of foods that are in our lives. These are foods that are red light foods, yellow light foods, and green light foods. And we're going to break all that down and what they mean in your life. So these foods are typically different for each individual person. And as a general, there's going to be things that could be similar for all people, but could be different foods that maybe you struggle with that maybe other people don't, and vice versa. And we're going to use these different colors to help us put them into categories. So just a brief overview before we get started. So red light. So usually whenever you're driving, a red light means stop, stop. That means don't go any further, stop where you are. So red light foods, these are things and foods that are highly processed. These are foods that I cannot eat them sanely or moderately. And some examples would be things like cakes, cookies, pizza, wings, candy, pop, chips, fries, and ice cream. These are usually foods that people have a hard time with just eating just one. Now let's go into yellow light foods. These are foods that are minimally processed, and they are things that I can usually eat sanely and moderately. However, sometimes these foods get away from me and I have to be on guard. These are things that I can maybe move them over into the red light category foods if they kind of get out of control. So it's just things that you just need to be aware of and be mindful of as you eat them. And then green light foods. These are your whole, fresh, or frozen foods. These foods are really high in nutrients, vitamins, and minerals, and I can eat these foods sanely and moderately and in proper portion size. These are foods, as you're going through the program, these are going to be your foods that are your habits. So let's break all this down a little bit more. So green light foods, whole foods, fresh or frozen foods. So whole foods are just foods that they're pretty close to what you see in nature. So like example would be a grape. You pick them off of the vine, you get them in your little bag at the store, and that's what they look like whenever you eat them. Usually like your lean meats and stuff like that, obviously they're not going to look the same as what they did in nature because they're cut up. But as a general rule, they're going to be things that pretty much look like how they did in nature. You're able to eat them in proper portion size. So these are not usually foods that you're going to be able to overeat or that you feel like overeating. They're highly nutritious foods and they're part of my everyday meals. So like I said, these are your lean proteins, your smart carbs, your colorful fruits and veggies, and your healthy fats. These are all of the habits that you're learning as you go through this program. And these foods help me reach my goals. That's why they're green lights. These are go. These are foods that you have no problem with and that you feel in control of whenever you eat them and you consume them. You don't have an issue with these foods. Yellow light foods. So these are minimally processed foods. So like the grape example that I had in the green light foods. Minimally processed foods or minimally processed would be a raisin. Definitely it's been dried. Sometimes it's had sugar added to it, whatever, but it's still in that pretty close to that form. It's just dried out. And so that's what I mean by minimally processed foods. So most of the time I can sanely and moderately eat these foods. However, sometimes they can kind of get away from me. So I got to be aware of portion size. I can have them in moderation, but I may need to cut back on them, especially if I fail to be a responsible eater whenever I consume them. So this is where your mindful eating and your awareness teachings come into play, because knowing how you feel whenever you eat them, if this is something that you can eat in a controlled manner, kind of determines where these foods are going to be. And like I said, these foods are going to be different for everybody. I mean, some of us might struggle with different things, other people might not. So a yellow light food for me might not be a yellow light food for you. Maybe it's a red light food for you. So like these categories can kind of go back and forth. So like I said, it's just being aware of what you're doing as you're eating. So having too much of or having these foods too often can start to become unhealthy, and they can become red light foods. So like I said, just be aware of what you're eating and then notice, okay, I'm having this on a really consistent basis. Maybe this is something that I should put into the red light category, especially if these foods are not something that you would consider reaching your goals. If these foods could possibly be hindering you from reaching your goals. And then red light foods. So like I said, these are the really highly processed foods, and they honestly have little to no nutritional value. And this is a big one. These will not help me reach my goals. Okay, that's a big one. So whenever you have, like we've already established your why, we've talked about why it is that you want to do this program, why it is that you want to be healthy, whatever it is. And then you think about, oh my gosh, this donut, this cake, this cookie, this pizza, blah, 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 whatever it is, this food is not going to help me get to what I want to realize. This is not going to help me reach my goal. So it's thinking about that also. Usually these foods are high in sugar, fat, calories, and sodium. And I cannot eat these foods sanely and moderately. So that's what these foods are designed to do. They are, like I said, they're high in sugar, fat, and calories, and sodium, and they are designed for you to keep coming back and back and back, and where you cannot just eat one, or you cannot just eat them moderately and sanely. These foods oftentimes will make me gain weight. And oftentimes these are the foods that I go to whenever I feel sad, depressed, overwhelmed, bored, or that I eat late at night. These are not, like I said, these are not usually the foods that you can eat sanely and moderately. These are the foods that, oh my gosh, I had a stressful day, honey. Like, give me that donut, give me that cake. I'm eating all of it. I don't even care. So that's what these foods are designed to do. These foods are designed to give you a sugar high, to make you feel good initially, but then you're going to crash later on. So if you do end up eating a red light food, okay, cool. Use your mindful eating habit of eating slowly and until satisfied. And so this is going to help you listen to your hunger and fullness cues, which we've talked about. And this will help you take in less of the unhealthy food and keep you in control. So that's a huge tip. Just be mindful whenever you eat it. That's number one. Number two, enjoy the company you're with more than the food. And I love this one because whenever we're focused on the people that we're with, we're enjoying our family, our friends, we're not going to be as focused on the food. Yeah, there's some stuff. There's going to be the holidays, all these things coming up. But enjoy the people that you're with more so than the pumpkin pie and the cheesecake and all these other things. So that's number two. Number three, wait until you're somewhat hungry. You don't want to be starving, but at least a 5 on the am I hungry scale. So like on a scale of 1 to 10, 5 is in the middle. You're like, yeah, I could eat something, but you don't want to be a 9 or an 8, 9, or a 10. You don't want to be starved, because then you're going to crush it whenever you eat a red light food. Number 4, eat less than you normally would. And this is going to let you enjoy the food without having regrets. And that's the thing too. Okay, you ate it. Okay, cool. Enjoy it, but don't have regrets with it. Just eat a smaller portion of it. Buy just one. That is huge. So instead of buying a whole cake, maybe buy a piece of cake. Or instead of a 4-pack of king size Reese cups, buy just one individual Reese cup. Or maybe they come in a 2-pack. I don't know how they come. But buy just one. You don't need to buy multiple. Or same with like chips. Buy a smaller bag. Don't buy the family size bag. Buy an individual bag, like something that you would put in your lunch. One of those things. Number 6, this is so key, but enjoy it and then move on. Okay, you had the food. Okay, cool. Enjoy it. Like feel satisfied with it. Have it in proper portion size and then move on. Like, don't feel guilty, and don't call me or text me and be like, I had 4 chicken nuggets, or oh, I had, a cupcake. Okay, cool. Did you enjoy it? Okay, cool. Then just move on. Like, don't go into depression mode because you had these foods. Okay, just eat it and move on. And then ask yourself, could I have done without this food? Did this satisfy me? Did this really make that problem go away? That's a huge one, because a lot of times whenever we're upset, we're stressed, we're mad, we're angry, whatever it is, we go to food to make us feel better right away. And then you ask yourself after you eat it, do I really feel that much better? Was it really worth it? So those are the kind of questions that you can ask yourself whenever you do eat a red light food. And so this is really important too. We are not teaching you that you cannot eat these foods ever again. Let me repeat, we're not teaching that you can't ever eat these foods. So one of our goals in this Taste and See nutrition program is to transform the way you view view food, I'm sorry, and to make green light foods your new norm instead of red light foods. So we're not saying you can't ever have those foods again, but instead of you turning to, you know, cakes, ice cream, pizza, wings to make you feel better, or whenever you have a problem or an issue, let's turn to, okay, how do I feel right now? Let's identify those feelings. Okay, great, I did that. And then let's eat foods that are on the green light list. Let's move towards our goals, because whenever you feel sad and depressed and then you eat all this crappy food, then you're going to be even more depressed. Like, nobody wants to do that. So let's transition our thoughts into green light foods, and let's make that our new norm. So by you being aware of what foods that you can and can't eat sanely and moderately, you're eliminating a huge hurdle in realizing and reaching your goals. Because whenever you can put things into categories, whenever you can write things down, whenever you have things in front of you, now you can know, okay, these foods, I probably should avoid those because they're not going to help me towards my goals. And then these foods over here in the green light category, great. I want to eat as many of those foods as I can on a daily basis, because that's going to help me reach my goals. I'm going to feel so much better. I'm going to feel accomplished. I'm going to have my right strategy. I'm going to keep going forward because I did what I said I was going to do. And I'm in the green light category. And so then whenever you identify foods that have great nutritional value, you can choose to eat those more, because they're going to help you feel better. You're going to get all your vitamins and nutrients in, and then you can choose to stay away from the ones that don't. So it's just weighing your goals, weighing, am I really going to feel better after I eat these red light foods? And is it worth it? And then looking at your green light foods and being like, yes, those are the foods that I want to choose.